Change is the heartbeat of growth, and organizations have no choice but to try and thrive in a changing market. This is the Groundbreaker podcast series powered by StartupsAfrica. And today on the program, I will be speaking to Anne Wagaki, who is the CEO and founder of Effulge Consulting Group. We'll be talking about empowering organizations in an evolving marketplace. Welcome. And welcome, Anne.
Thank you so much, Nancy.
Effulge. It's quite a mouthful. What does it mean? How did it get started?
Okay, beautiful. So Effulge in itself speaks into radiating or bringing clarity. And that's exactly what we're doing for businesses. When I stepped into the consulting space about maybe 3.5 years now, getting to 4,
Right.
there's something I saw. One of the things I saw is that founders and entrepreneurs in Kenya and the African region have excellent ideas. But then we had a problem because even with all these ideas, most of the businesses actually die with the founders. And we can name a good number of them.
Very true.
So there's no continuity. And I was very concerned because I'm thinking we have excellent ideas. How then can we build whatever we need to build, the structures, the system,
Right,
to ensure that there's sustainability and continuity. And that's how Effulge was born. The other thing I also saw when I stepped into that market is how bigger players are actually buying off our businesses. So we start a business as a founder or an entrepreneur. You run with it, say, for 5-10 years. And because you're running it without systems, structures, strategies, it becomes very difficult. If a bigger player shows up with, say, some 20 million shillings,
Right.
we take it gladly. So we're selling off our businesses to bigger players in the market. And I thought someone ought to do something about this because where exactly is the gap? And the gap really is in building structures, systems, having clear strategies, succession planning, which I hope we can discuss further in this discussion. And those are the challenges the businesses are facing. And that's why we cannot continue past the founder.
Right.
That's exactly what we seek to bridge as Effulge.
So that's the gap that you see in the market.
Exactly.
Now you're trying to fill it.
Exactly.
And now let's talk about the services that Effulge Consulting Group offers. So there is a business. Of what benefit would your services be to, say, a startup or as well a business that has existed in the market for a while?
So one of the key services we offer is strategic planning, a strategy, ensuring that these businesses have a plan. What are we working towards? What do we wake up every morning to work towards? The other thing is implementation, what we call strategy implementation, because really that's where the rubber meets the road. And most of us consultants will talk about strategy formulation, but no one wants to talk about implementation.
Right.
Because that is the tough space. That's where the rubber meets the road, really. And as Effulge, we're very keen on helping these businesses implement these strategic plans. And we also do what we call change management, which is helping these businesses through the change, because some of these strategic plans come with a lot of change. So we have to work with these businesses through that change process. And we also do a lot of trainings, so capacity building for businesses. And we've partnered with a lot of institutions to ensure that we are continuously building capacity and just sensitizing these founders and entrepreneurs, because some of them will fail to act because we do not know. And also we do a lot of research, especially market entry research, so that businesses avoid entering new markets without enough information, without insights.
Always a challenge.
Oh, yes. So we want to imagine that because we're doing business here in Nairobi, that will be the same, say, when you enter Uganda. But the market there is totally different. The clientele there is different. Their needs are different. So we do what we call market entry research to ensure that these businesses enter with proper information and proper insights on how to approach the new markets. At a personal level, I also do coaching for business leaders on different areas. I'm very passionate about purpose because I believe that if we all understood and discovered our purpose, then we would have an excellent world. So I coach on purpose discovery, but also leading with purpose.
Right.
And also coach on other areas on leadership, on how to lead teams and etc. So we begin from self-leadership before we even talk about team leadership.
Right. Take us through how you got your first client. We know now you have expanded, you have partnerships, and you've expanded even beyond Kenya. But take us through that very first client and how you now became, you got bigger and now consistent, now with more and more clients.
So one of the things that is a game changer for any business owner or entrepreneur is something we call referrals. If you can receive a referral, then there's something you're doing right. And my first client was a referral from a client who had me speak way back in a forum in what you call a stakeholders engagement. So I was doing that for a certain client many years back. And he had me speak in that forum. So when I began ECG, within the first month, I got a call from him and he said, you know, Anne, I remember you trained us on this area and I have someone who needs a strategic plan. Would you want to go and meet them? I said, gladly, where are they? Yeah, so that's how we got our first clients. Yeah, and moving on, as I said, we've been very keen on partnerships because really, you cannot win alone. If I imagine that I would want to go knocking each entrepreneur's door or each business door, then it would be too much work for us.
Right.
And so we've leveraged on partnerships and collaborations with different institutions, with different consulting companies. And through that, we've received a lot of clientele. At the same time, as I said, more referrals keep coming in. We attend a lot of networking forums. If there's a forum somewhere, you realize one of my team members is there.
A challenge for a number of businesses has been that they got into the market not having mastered their skill very well. How do you ensure that you're always in touch even with the trends in the market, as well as reskilling yourself and your team so that you can fit what the market requires?
There's something you said that's very key, Nancy, that some of these businesses step into the market without understanding their skill. Now, one of the biggest challenges and mistakes I see with SMEs is along the lines of you begin a business or a service or a product without first identifying the need in the market. So we start off from the product or service, then push it to the market. And that is one of the biggest mistakes we're making as SMEs, that we aren't sure whether there is really a need and whether the need is, has enough clientele or enough market before we step into that space. So it's very important for me that organizations first identify an existing need so that the solution you're bringing is addressing a need. Because when you talk about value addition, you cannot talk about value addition without resolving a need in the market, without addressing a need. So when you start from a product, then you push it to the market, and then you want to talk about adding value. It is impossible.
Right.
So we have discussions on value propositions with businesses, but it's a very tough discussion because in the first place, they did not begin from a point of we are addressing these needs. So that is one of the biggest problems we have. And every time we step into the strategy space, the strategic planning process, one of the questions I'll be asking is, what value are you adding as a business? What's your value proposition? Because if then we're not adding value as a business, then there's a disconnect somewhere. Yeah, because money follows value. That where value can be demonstrated, money will follow. So those businesses that are interested in pushing quantity over quality have a problem because we're trying to push for quantity, but we haven't addressed the issue of value addition. So it's very key for me that we realize the need we're solving, develop a solution for it, and of course, through that, there's value addition. Then continuously, there's something on research that most SMEs imagine is kept or reserved for corporates because they have finances. But research, I keep encouraging us to even have some lean teams to just do maybe just one person in your organization that will do continuous research, because the world is changing fast. Clients' preferences and needs are changing fast. So to ensure that we are updated and valid, and that the services or products we're offering are still clients' preferences, then we have to continuously conduct some research.
There are some people, a lot of Kenyans are in business.
Yeah.
And it could be business, could be mtumba business, a shop. Maybe they're selling a few household items. And they could think that maybe my business is rather small. Do I need a whole strategy? Do I need, they feel like the complicated terms that are used in major organizations and businesses. What would you tell them?
The thing with strategy is that it has to be understandable. Because if it is not something the team can understand, then it will not help them. So the people who are using it, who are implementing it, must understand it. So depending on where you are, the level you're at, we make sure that we'll come down to that level so that you understand what we're doing, where you're at, and where you'd want to go. And there's no business that is too small to professionalize. And sometimes the professionalism we're talking about might not really be, as you said, the very complex strategy. It could just be, how do we manage our finances?
Right.
How do we record our finances? Some of those people who are running the MSMEs, call them the MSMEs.
Yeah.
We do not even have a registered business. If we do, our finances are in chaos, Money comes in through, M-Pesa, pay bill, others sent to the bank, and there's no reconciliation, nothing.
Right.
We just imagine money is coming in, and we do not know whether we're making profits or not. So when I talk about professionalizing, it starts with some of those small steps. That can we ensure that we even understand our financials? How do we even recruit the people we bring on board? So how do we recruit? How do we onboard? Do we do some continuous trainings? Because again, every space is changing. And clients are looking for people who can connect with them. So you have to continuously train your team to ensure that we are up to date with the requirements from the clients.
Speaking of the smaller businesses, then, and even the larger ones, we know that the market is changing. There is a lot of companies, people are working from home, others sometimes the office, sometimes home. It's hybrid. Purely remote. So even does that then influence how you do the consultation?
Not really. In fact, we're embracing it a lot because that's where the market has moved into. I think the most important thing is to have clear goals and clear deliverables for each person, so that we know what every person is expected to do and how they are contributing to the main strategic plan. So whether you're working from home, whether you're working from the office, do you know what you're expected to do? The expectations are clear, and how your activities, your tasks on a daily basis, contributing to the bigger plan. That's the most important thing.
Let's talk about the challenges. Challenges that you've faced as Effulge and navigating around them.
Okay. So I think one of the biggest challenges is people, just getting the right people. It is one thing to have people in the organization, but it's another to have the right team. And the right team is a team that would be competent, but also a team that could buy into the vision. And that is also a problem I see across the SME space and across most of the businesses, even sometimes to corporate level. That getting the right people on board is a tough job, but it is actually the biggest job you have as a leader. Because when you talk about building businesses, it is more about building a team that builds the business. So getting it right on team is too critical for any business owner. So anyone you're bringing on board, as much as they have completed their degrees or their masters, you have to still do quite some good training for them to step into their roles. So we have addressed that through trainings, and we do a lot of trainings, continuous trainings, almost on a weekly basis,
Right.
to ensure that we get it right as a team.
Right, and the question that everybody waits for, the money.
Mm-hmm.
Is it rewarding?
Mm-hmm.
Fulfillment?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that.
Okay. If people see the value we're selling, if clients see the value we're delivering, then money is really not the problem. The biggest problem is, can you deliver value? Yeah. And so long as you can deliver value, then money will come. And the other thing, is purpose. Remember, I mentioned something about purpose. And it's not just for individuals. Even businesses have purpose. We have what we call purpose-led organizations. And we're also rooted on a very strong purpose. And I would really encourage any business owner or founder who's either planning to begin a business or has already begun a business, try and find out what your purpose is as a business. And purpose goes beyond, how much money we want to make. It goes beyond, the vision, because the vision talks about maybe where we would want to see ourselves in another couple of years. But purpose is so much about the impact we're making to other people. It is not a lot to do with what us as individuals or as a business we are gaining from all this. It's about others.
And even as we close, you're young, energetic, found this thing that really drives you. And there are many young people out there who are they've been thinking about ideas, thinking now how to actualize, but there can be fear, can be a little bit of an anxiety. Am I ready? What did you tell them?
That fear is the enemy. Yeah. The day you finally overcome fear, you realize that opportunities are there. In fact, they're just waiting for you to take a step. As I mentioned, by the first month, immediately I left my employment and I stepped into entrepreneurship. The first month, I got a referral. It might not be so for everyone, but the truth is that when you take that step, we say sometimes you take the step from a point of just conviction, not clarity.
Yeah.
But as you take the steps, then clarity comes with time. And the perfect example I would give is that you're driving. Say you're driving from this point to, say, another 5 kilometers from this point, and it's at night. And what you know is that you need to get to point B, but you do not know how the road looks like. And if you expect to have the entire clarity in terms of the entire road, it is not possible, because probably we have buildings there, maybe we have some other cars along that route. But the only way you can get to point B is you leaving point A. And as you move, even with your either dimmed lights or your full lights, you gain clarity as you move.
As you keep going.
Because it keeps opening up. It keeps opening up until you get to point B. And that's exactly what has happened for me. I did not have all those things figured out. What I had is a conviction. I knew that this is the path I need to take. And I knew it also aligns with my purpose. So I took the step, and clarity has come with time. So I would encourage anyone who has that idea.
Right.
And building is beautiful. I would say it comes with a lot of fulfillment.
Enjoying the journey.
I love it, especially when it's aligned to your purpose. There's grace that comes with it, for sure. So it is a beautiful journey, and I would encourage more people to be in the building space. I know it's not meant for everyone. There are some who are also meant to execute, which is okay. But those who are meant to build,
who have this burning desire.
Wake up and build. Let's have more businesses, making change and coming up with solutions. I strongly believe that we should be the people driving solutions in this world.
Right.
That solutions should be emanating from the African market. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to see more, and I get to meet other younger people who have taken the step courageously. And as I said, clarity comes with time. So let no one tell you that they had anything figured out, that everything was figured out. It's not possible. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I know we could go on and on. Like, you're really this grand speaker, you know.
Thank you.
Like, and we'll be there just to follow.
Yeah.
When the expanding happens and it's beyond, and then Groundbreaker will still have you.
Oh yeah, thank you.
I hope you'll not be too big to
No.
come by.
No. As I said, it's not just work for me.
Right.
It is purpose. It's an assignment. It's a mandate. So I'm looking forward to more sessions, and see how we can help business owners, entrepreneurs get from the ground to where they ought to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And thank you so much. That is Anne Wagaki, the CEO and founder of Effulge Consulting Group. We've been talking about empowering organizations in an evolving marketplace. I am Nancy Nalima. Thank you so much for watching. This is the Groundbreaker podcast series.